everyone, Miss Gretchen with Rubies and Moonstones. Thank you so much for joining me today for my 17th WIP&Chat, which has been a long time coming, but here I am finally to catch you up on some things. If you are new to my channel, I hope that you would like it here and consider subscribing for more diamond painting content. And if you are returning, welcome back. And thank you so much for continuing to support myself and my channel and being patient with me. So thank you so much. I couldn't do this and I wouldn't be here without you. Thank you very much. So WIP stands for work in progress. My current work in progress, I just started on this one this morning, is called The Pride, and it is by Francesca'sStudioWorks. The artist, it goes by The Creatrix, and I believe it's also Danielle Grigg, but this is a beautiful picture of a lion. I will try and insert the picture here, and I have wanted to complete this diamond painting for a really long time, so I'm excited to have that. I can tell you more about that as I get into things. I usually will be using probably this tray that I have out right now. This is a Firefly tray, and it is called the Mini Max Shorty. And I just really love this tray, especially for really confetti heavy areas. And this has so much color to it. It's pretty confetti heavy. There's a few decent lines, but it's mostly confetti. And then I'll be using a variety of different pens, but the multi-placers are Diamond Art Club's multi-placers. They're thin metal steel ones that just push into the pen, and my single placers have been replaced. I've replaced the brass tip with the everlasting tips from, oh, I forgot what they're called, but I will insert the name of that at the top of the screen here. I love these everlasting tips, and I always use glue dots in those. So that is what I will be using, and I also always use Randa's Crafty Corner putty in my multi-placer, and so right now I am using one that is coconut scented, which seems about right for summertime. But oh, I'm so sad. Summer is almost over. But okay, so I am going to get my light pad turned on and get focused in on the area I am at, which is about here. I will try and zoom you in on the different areas as I am working, so you can kind of maybe see in a little bit more detail what I'm doing, although you're pretty much right on top of the area that I'm working on. But anyway, we'll get zoomed in, we'll start talking, I'll try and fill you in on where I've been, why the radio silence, and what's going on now and plans moving forward. So, okay. So I believe that about the last time that I posted one of my WIP&Chats, it would have been in October, or probably October or early November of last year. And it was at about that time that I was really getting into the political race for president here in the United States. And so when I had time and my free moments when I was diamond painting, I was really following everything that was going on there and trying to learn as much information as I could and be an educated voter and all of that good stuff. And I'm going to try and not make this like a super political WIP&Chat. I'm assuming that most people diamond paint and come and listen to WIP&Chats to avoid having to hear about politics and some of the things going on in our world. I would actually love to discuss that if people are interested, to try and do something where there's kind of like a weekly rundown of important information, but at the same time, I would want to do that separate from my regular WIP and chats, just because again, I just don't want people to feel like forced into listening to that. And if that's not your jam and you want to turn off and tune out to the politics, that is up to you. So if that's something you'd be interested in, kind of like a weekly rundown of events, and the most important things going on right now, let me know, because I would love to do something like that. But anyways, so back in October and November, that's where I first started getting really distracted, because I was, like I said, really trying to educate myself and not just listening to one source, but digging into the information and trying to do some follow-up information to make sure that the information that I was taking in was accurate. And so, yeah, so that's one of the reasons. And then, of course, the election happened. And the results were not the results that I was hoping for. So that probably gives you an idea of which way I leaned in this last election. I am not necessarily always one way or the other, but had very, very strong feelings this last election. So then I just kind of needed some time to myself to tune out a bit, and I tuned out from everything. I was not listening to anything political. I was just trying to get through the days, and then it was holidays and Thanksgiving and Christmas, and there's always family stress and family drama around that. It's just a very depressing time of year. So I basically feel like at that point in time, I went into a pretty deep funk of a depression, kind of. I mean, not kind of, I did. And so it was just a hard time. And that time of year, I know it's hard on a lot of us. And so not only was I struggling then to get back into WIP and chats, to just kind of, I didn't know how to start back up having these conversations with you guys after being silent so long, and being so concerned with the political climate in our country. I just, once I had missed several weeks, it was really hard for me to know where to step back up, and then I just wasn't in really the headspace to do it. So time dragged on, and I just did not get more and more, weeks went by, and I had less and less WIP and chats not getting done. So that's kind of how it all started. And then, of course, my workload picks up, and it's a busy time of year, always when school starts. But, last year I did have the goal of trying to still do a WIP and chat once a week. And hopefully by getting through this WIP and chat, which, again, has been really weighing on me to get it recorded, and is a bit stressful, but I feel like I just need to get through this one, and then maybe I can start producing WIP and chats more regularly again, and try and do them on a weekly or a bi-weekly basis or something like that, so I'm not silent for such a significant period of time. But the hard thing too then when school is in session is my diamond painting time is in the mornings. I specifically get up early, not just because I want to diamond paint then, and that's the only time that I have to myself to just concentrate on diamond painting and not being interrupted by my children or husband or whatever needs might arise. It's the only time I can just be by myself. But also because if I lay in bed too long, then I wake up in pain. And if I wake up in pain, then I'm likely to have migraines or just be in pain all day. And of course, that's not good. So only being able to sleep on my back for about 6 hours or so is about the max that I can handle before I'll be in pain all day. And so that is another reason why I wake up early and diamond paint during those times. I've kind of tried to get a little bit more sleep over the summer, but when I've tried, again, I wake up in pain, and so it's not worth it. And in the summertime, if I have the opportunity to take a nap, then maybe I will. If I don't, I don't. It is what it is. So yeah, school was making it difficult for me to record my videos, and especially because then if I'm only diamond painting in the morning, then that's the only time that I can really record a WIP and chat. And I don't know about you, but first thing in the morning, when I, even an hour or two after I wake up, I am maybe not my most like chippery, happy self to be in the mood to record a video. I am kind of slow to get going, and even drinking all of my coffee, not always in the right headspace first thing in the morning to record a conversational video. So then trying to find times in the afternoon, if I could get off work early, or if I could not get the kids for a while or something like that, it was just really hard to find the time to do those things. Or on the weekends when I could do it, my stepdaughter was sleeping in the room next to me or something. I don't know. There was just always something. And whether I was using it as an excuse or not, I don't know. It was really hard to get back into things. And so that's what, summer's already almost over, and I meant to do this a long time ago, but the state of our country just continues to really, really upset me. And so then I continue to get into it just makes it hard for me to want to come and have a happy conversation. And not to mention just kind of some other stuff that has been going on in my life. And so with that, I know I mentioned it recently in my quarter 2 review that I haven't been able to post as much as I used to, or as I was hoping, because I've been dealing with some unforeseen medical issues. And I said I would let you guys know about that kind of stuff when I did my next WIP and Chat. So for one, I know that I have discussed with you that I struggle with chronic migraines. Well, on a plus side, I did find a migraine shot that you give yourself once a month that was actually really helping with my migraines. And so I was really excited about that. However, it was something that like insurance won't pay for, and even with the coupon, it was very expensive. So that was a bit hard. And then since we were finding that to be effective, there is a similar infusion that I could start getting that's supposed to be working in the same way. So I've had my first infusion now. I'm probably about you get the infusion once every 3 months. So I'm probably about a month and a half in. And I'm eager to see how that goes, especially as it starts to wear off towards the end of the 3 months. And then, but so far so good. I have had minimal migraines, and anytime that I have needed to take medication, the medication seems to work pretty fast, except for a couple times. So, but overall, when you're used to having multiple migraines every single week, It's a huge improvement, vast improvement. And I realized that last school year, I really didn't have to take off any time because of a migraine. And I used to have to go home early and take off time due to migraines all the time. So there may have been a couple days in there where I did have migraines, but the vast majority of the year I was doing really good. So that was really good progress, medically speaking. But then it was at about the beginning of March when I noticed all of a sudden that I had extreme swelling in my feet and ankles. And that's something that I had with both of my pregnancies. You know, it's common in pregnancy for your ankles to get very swollen and things like that, but that's also associated with high blood pressure in pregnancies. And so I knew that that was a huge concern when I was pregnant. So I went and talked to my school nurse about it and was wondering like how concerned about this do I need to be? I have an appointment scheduled in like a week. Do I need to move it up, or you know, what's going on, basically trying to figure things out. And so she asked me a bunch of questions, and not only had I gained all of this extra fluid in my feet and ankles, and they were big, those ankles, and my feet. I couldn't wear hardly any of my shoes, which I still haven't found most of my shoes since I moved here. But the one pair of shoes that I kind of use them as a barometer, a way to test how thick my feet were when I was pregnant. I have one pair of sandals like that, and I couldn't fit my feet into them. And so those sandals really do help tell me when my feet are super duper swollen and when they aren't. And so, you know, not only did I have that issue, but I also had gained a large amount of weight in a very short period of time, which no one wants, right? And most of my weight, of course, is around my midsection or abdomen. And so it just drives me nuts. I went from being able to wear a lot of really cute clothes in my closet to not being able to wear anything because everything that I owned, I looked like I was pregnant again. And I didn't want to field all of those "how far along are you" questions from random people, you know. So I'm always surprised at how many people say that. And it's almost always women who will come up to me and say that. Women that I don't know, and they will come up and ask me how far along I am or something like that when I'm not pregnant. You'd think that women out of everybody would know that that's just not something that you should ask if you don't know for sure that someone is actually pregnant. But anyway, that's a side point. But it's something that, of course, I'm self-conscious about, and still trying to find some answers for. However, my school nurse was very concerned about like this combination of symptoms and how suddenly they came on. And so I did have an appointment scheduled, but she did think that I should try and maybe get in sooner, and basically reference something with the kidneys. And you should never Google search, right? When you Google search symptoms, you get all sorts of things that pop up, and a lot of times it is very scary. But it's hard not to try and see like, do I have these symptoms and these symptoms? Are they lining up? Does it line up with this disease, etc.? So of course I shouldn't do that, but I did. And then I went to the doctor and showed them all of the swelling in my legs, etc. And they were obviously very concerned. I could just kind of see it on their faces. I knew that they were really concerned, but they didn't tell me what they were concerned about, but just that there was all of these tests that they wanted me to do, and I just underwent a huge battery of tests, a lot of lab work, a whole bunch of different ultrasounds, a whole bunch of things like looking at my heart and CT scans and evaluating my kidneys and how they function and my liver and its function and all of that stuff. And every time that we looked at something and got the results, everything came back fine. They thought maybe there was something wrong with the kidneys, or if not the kidneys, then the liver. Okay, well, if it's not those, then maybe it's the heart. And you referred me over to a cardiologist and all of that. And so I was just constantly going to all of these medical appointments on top of just like my regular appointments and the regular things that I needed to do with my kids. I had just a million medical appointments to go to. And even by the time I was out of school at the end of May, we still hadn't figured out what the underlying problem was. And I was still going to all of these medical appointments. And so this is why summer has been really disappointing this year. It's because as soon as I got out of school, there were several doctor's appointments that I had just pushed off because I knew that school was going to be out of session soon, and it would be easier and better for me to have those appointments when school was not in session, because then I don't have to, take work, leave time, and all that good stuff. But then in doing so, then my entire month of June for summer break was basically spent going to all of these medical appointments. I also had a training that I was finishing up and things like that for school, but it was mostly medical appointments in June. And yeah, we never really figured out what was going on. We even did some ultrasounds of my legs and the veins in my legs to see if there was some venous insufficiency going on, if my blood flow was not, it was going down into my legs but wasn't strong enough going back up. But they really couldn't identify anything there either. So basically, they still just don't know what it is, but we've at least ruled out the fact that it's not cancer. My heart's not failing, my kidneys aren't failing. So all of those big things that were the big scary things that everybody thought that maybe it could be, and that's why everybody was freaking out. All of those things have been, okayed, and that's why we're moving on to try and figure out what other things might be causing it. But right now it's basically, they're kind of thinking maybe it is just a combination of medications that has led to all of this extra fluid buildup. And then it just is weird because it really comes and goes, and some days I'll be totally fine, and then other days I will not be. And I can just see and feel that the fluid has really built back up in my feet. For example, the other day I went in for an occupational therapy appointment. She took measurements of my feet and my legs, and everything had decreased in size quite a bit, which is great. But then here a couple of days later, they've started to increase in fluid again. And I can always tell when they're about to increase in fluid. But anyway, so it's frustrating to not have like, okay, maybe it is just the medication that's causing it. Maybe that is the answer in itself, but it's just a little bit frustrating to not have a more definitive answer and a better solution besides just taking It's a Lasix pill to help flush some of the water out of my system. But even then, that apparently can only flush out extra fluid that's in my veins already. And when my feet and ankles swell up, it gets into other areas of my legs and feet also. It doesn't just stay in the veins. And so then trying to get out that extra fluid that's, already seeped out of the veins is even more difficult to do. So yeah, so that has been a struggle. It's good that in the long run, we didn't find anything serious. I found out later that my doctor, when she saw me for the first time and saw my symptoms, she thought for sure that she was going to find cancer somewhere. So really glad that that was not the case. But can also see then why we were, really trying to attack things so aggressively to try and find the solution to the problem. And then on top of all of that, I had all of this other weight gain and increase in my abdominal size. And so that did not appear to be related to the edema in my legs, although I do appear to have some edema in my arms now, which the cardiologist is going to take a look at when I see them at the end of the month. But so I was referred to a gastroenterologist or whatever they're called. I think that's right? And I was not a fan of the doctor that I saw there. He was pretty rude. The APRN or physician's assistant or whoever it was that was working with him was very nice. But man, this one doctor that I had was not a nice person. Anyways, I'm going to go see a different gastroenterologist now. I have an appointment, but haven't gotten to go see her yet. But the one good thing that came out of going to this gastroenterologist that I did not like is that he noticed on one of the ultrasounds, one of the many ultrasounds that I had done when they were trying to figure out why I had all of this fluid in my body, he happened to notice that I had gallstones. Or stones in my gallbladder, and that is a pretty big deal. And we want to get those removed before they become a problem. So all of a sudden, I was having surgery to have my gallbladder removed, and was of course not expecting that. And I know it's a very basic routine surgery anymore, which is great. It's just outpatient. It's done with a robot, apparently. So I know many people who have already had their gallbladders removed, but having surgery is still never fun, to say the least. And of course, the worst part is just that, I wasn't allowed to hold my children for at least 2 weeks following. And those first couple of days, it was just really exhausting and took my body a while to adjust to not having my gallbladder in. But that's all gotten healed up at this point. However, the weekend after I got my gallbladder removed would have been the last weekend in June. And my stepdaughter, she turned 18 this year and graduated from high school. So that is super exciting. And so she's off to college in a couple of weeks. And I am so, so proud of her. So we planned a small family get together where she was able to invite some of her friends, and then we were able to invite people from our side of the family to celebrate her and all of her achievements at school and graduating and going to college, as well as turning 18 and all of those big things. So it was kind of just to celebrate my stepdaughter day and everything about her, graduation, birthday, all that good stuff. I'm gonna have to go back into this section. It's hard for me to see. I don't think that everything seems lined up super perfectly, but it'll do. So a week after I have my gallbladder out, I'm throwing a party, and it's at we live in a small town, and my stepdaughter lives in a large town nearby. So what we did is we rented out one of those picnic shelters in one of the city parks, because I wanted her to be able to have her friends come. If we just had the party here, yeah, we could maybe get some family members here, but there would be no way that all of her friends would be able to come to the party, and it would also make it more difficult for family members to come to the party. So we thought it would be better to just have it in the larger city nearby, and it worked out well. The only thing that was disappointing or was frustrating or hard is just the fact that it was a really hot day. It was like a 97-degree day. It was very humid, but we had a nice little breeze, and it was a nice little party, and I was just incredibly exhausted by the time that was done. And I was supposed to go to a birthday party for my niece the following day, but I did have migraines after that party event, and I think that the migraines were most likely due to being overheated and things like that. So I'm sure that was at least part of it. Anyway, and just that I overdid it. I know that I overdid it. So I just sent my husband and kids to the birthday party the following day, and I stayed home and rested, and I got the best nap ever. It was marvelous. And so then this has just become the month of parties. July has. So not only did we have my stepdaughter's birthday and graduation party, but then we needed to have a little party for my son because he turned 2. And then we did the parties like every 2 weeks. So 2 weeks after my stepdaughter's party was my son's birthday. So we did a special just at home little family birthday party for him. We didn't get like a bunch of balloons and decorations. It was just a small family gathering, because then 2 weeks after that, when my stepdaughter could come again, we had a larger birthday party for both my son and daughter, because my daughter turns 5 at the end of July. So we decided to just have one party where we invite all of the family who live out of town too. And then that way they can, both come celebrate, both kids, and not have to come down 2 separate times to celebrate each kid individually. And I think that we'll probably do their parties like that moving forward. So we had that party last weekend. This coming weekend is going to be It's Time to Potty Train the Toddler weekend. So I used the 3-day process with my daughter, and so that's what I'm hoping to do with my son. So that means tomorrow is going to be day 1 of potty training, and it's going to be very stressful, difficult day. Day 1 is always the hardest, and I decided to wait until my husband would have the day off work so that he could help me handle that day, because you really got to keep an eye on your kids when you're potty training them on day 1. And hopefully by the time he goes back to work on Monday on day 3, I'm not sure if I'll send him back to school yet or keep him home and just keep reinforcing. I don't know. Probably keep him home. But so that's my plan for this weekend, or tomorrow, because I'm recording this on Friday the 18th of July. July's almost over. And then The following weekend from this weekend then is my daughter's 5th birthday party with her friends. So this will be the first time that she's had like a friend birthday party where she is inviting a few of her friends from preschool. And, you know, of course, then their parents are coming because you don't really just drop your preschooler off at a friend's house when they're this young. So it's probably going to be almost a bigger party than the one that we had with the family members, because we only had 2 separate families come to that party, and maybe about 20 people total. I don't even think that's right. I think that was like the large estimate, so probably more like 12 to 15 people over. And then for my daughter's friend birthday party, she's going to have 3 different friends over and their entire families. So there'll be more than just her preschool playmates there. It will be her preschool playmates, brothers and sisters and parents and all that good stuff. So it's going to be quite the busy day next Saturday for that party. She is letting me reuse our decorations though, which we used a bluey theme for the family birthday party for her and my son, and so she's all for doing a Bluey birthday party again. We love Bluey at our house. I love watching the Bluey shows. I think that they have really good messages for the kids, and both my kids love them. So yeah, so all about Bluey. So summer has gone by very, very fast because I feel like June was just full of medical appointments and medical issues and things like that. And then now all of a sudden it's July, and every other weekend I'm hosting a party, and I am not a party planner and I am not a party hoster. There are some people that are just so amazing at that, and my mom is great at that. So thank goodness for my mom, because like she came to help out at my last party and put together, you know, fruits on sticks and things like that, and just got all of the little hors d'oeuvres and things like that ready. I decorated the cake. That's just one thing that I really like to do. I learned how to decorate cakes when I was a little kid, and so I love my icing, and I love the cake that I make with it. So I still do decorate the cakes, even though they're not super fancy by any means. In my opinion, they're good enough. And more than anything, they taste amazing. I'm always sad when we run out of cake, and of course now that my family's getting bigger, we're running out of cake even faster. So, and then after my daughter's birthday party, then she's going to go spend a weekend at my parents' house for Grandma and Grandpa camp, and then it's back to school. That's it. That's all she wrote. Then school starts again, and I am a bit nervous and hesitant for some of the changes that are happening right now and how it's going to affect the families that we serve. I live in a community where we heavily rely on federal funds, and we have, you know, very low socioeconomic status here, so losing some of our free and reduced lunches, and you know, increasing the thresholds for that, as well as I don't think we're going to lose our SNAP benefits right away. I think that kicks in 2026, right after the midterm elections. So people will think that that's a Democrat thing, even though it's not. And then Medicaid, you know, that is going to affect people too, but I'm not exactly sure. A lot of this stuff doesn't go into effect right away. They timed it all out, so yeah, so it's going to look like it's the other party when it's actually them who is taking away their funding. But and then immigration. We've got a lot of Hispanic families where I live, and I worry about my students' parents and my students and all of that good stuff too. So, so yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty right now with the school year and what's all that is going to bring. And I just need to do what I can to support my kids and support my students and their families in whatever way I can, and the best way that I can do that is just by showing up and being there, and that's what I'm going to do. It's hard when you feel helpless, and you want to do more and you can't, but I will do what I can. So that is me trying to give you the very abridged version of what happened to me, where I went, why I have kind of been radio silent for the last several months, and why I was so delayed into being able to even record another video, why it was so hard for me to just know when and where to get started. And being in the right headspace is a big part of it. And so needing to just take a mental health break, that was definitely a big part of it. But yeah, it is what it is. So, and yeah, now we're about to head back into another school year, and the whole cycle is going to start all over again. But that's one of the nice things, though, about working in a public school is you do get this nice big break over summer, and then you can kind of turn things around and say, okay, last year's over, let's just concentrate on this year now, moving forward. What changes can we make? What changes did we make? What worked? What didn't work? What can we do to be more successful this year? And all of that good stuff. It's like a total reset button. So, when I left in at the beginning of June, when I finished up all my work hours, then it was like I can shut down my computer and just pick up where I left off when I come back in the fall. I got all of my paperwork in, all of my due dates are done, and all of that good stuff. So I didn't have anything like that to worry about. And yeah, then I get to come in the fall and just start over, have a new caseload list and ideas and ways to try and assist my students and families. So yeah, but it's always really hard when the 4th of July gets here, because that is one of the big warning signs that school's coming back. I feel like as soon as July gets here, school's pretty much back in session, and it's not like we start school at the end of June anymore. We start school mid-June. So and actually we start school like at the beginning of, not June, of August. School starts at the beginning of August, not the end of August, not the middle of August. It's like right at the beginning of August. So there's really not much August time to count towards summer either. So yeah, so it's always hard to come to this point in time in the year and know that your freedom is coming to an end. But alas, I should be grateful that I have summer vacations at all. And hopefully next year I will have more freedom and not have all this medical stuff going on. I think another thing that happened that made it really difficult for me to record videos too, and just diamond paint in general, was that at about that time in November or so was when my toddler son really decided to become mobile. That's when he was walking, running, getting into everything, and so there was just no leaving him on his own at all, and he was also, you know, constantly wanting mommy. You know, even if dad was right there, if I wasn't the one holding him or wasn't sitting next to him, he would get upset. So he definitely was starting to require a lot more attention at that point in time too. So that made it harder for me to edit videos, record videos, you know, do any just diamond painting in general. But he, you know, being a 2-year-old now, he's ready, I think, to do more things independently. And I know a lot of times you guys can hear this popping sound, and so sometimes it's the glue popping the drill off. Right now I've got a drill stuck to my glue dot. So I just got to make that glue dot not quite so sticky. And then hopefully it'll stay there. But especially when I am using my 12 multi-placer, I usually need to go back in and kind of just nudge a few of them over a little bit so that they are where they're supposed to be. And just make sure that they line up right. So lots of times when you hear that pop pop sound, that is my multi-placer, or excuse me, that is my glue dot. It's not like necessarily me being a hard presser. I feel like sometimes I can be, and I am, but usually I try not to be a hard placer. Not that it makes a difference. Either way, you get the drills on the canvas, but yeah, when you hear the pop 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 sound, that is actually more of the glue dot, and it's the glue dot pulling away from the drill, and also the glue of the canvas keeping the drill down. So it's kind of like the two glues are pulling away from each other, and then there's a pop sound when it releases from one of them. So I hope that makes sense. Let's see. So now that I think that I have given you a summary of the last several months, to just talk about diamond painting a little bit, and this lion in particular. I don't know if you've noticed, but right here in this area, I'm specifically leaving it blank, and I'm just filling in the background here, because then, and I'm not sure how much the camera is going to show you, then I'm going to come down and complete the sides of the lion's face, and then do this center part, this nose and the eyes of the lion all at the same time. And I think that that will be a fun way to do it. Plus, my tape's right on top of it, but right here there's this big number 6, and there's this really big, beautiful diamond gemstone type thing that is going to go into that place. And that was one of the reasons why I specifically wanted to complete this lion from Francesca'sStudioWorks, which, by the way, I don't know if this one is still available on their website or not. This is my second diamond painting that I'm completing from them, and I so far am really enjoying this diamond painting, and I really enjoyed the last one that I did, which was called Conversation. And I'll put in a picture of that there, and I don't know if I did a post review on that one or not. If I did, I'll link it. But Francesca'sStudioWorks has said that they are no longer going to be selling diamond paintings. So anything that they still have in their warehouse, they have at a significantly reduced price right now. So it would be worth going to check out and see what they have left, and see if any of those diamond paintings speak to you, and see if you would like to try one of them. I really have enjoyed their products. They have a really nice thick canvas, really nice thick cover sheet, and the glue is amazing. So yeah, so it's really fun. And the reason that I really wanted to do this lion is when I had each child, I sort of assigned an animal to them to kind of decorate their room and things like that. So with my daughter, it was elephants, and I partially chose that one because I love elephants, and there was just also a lot of elephant baby stuff. So it was easy to get a lot of elephant baby stuff. But now my daughter has decided that she likes giraffes, which is great because obviously I want her to decide what she loves, what her own favorite animal is. It does not have to be the one that mommy picked out for her when she was a baby by any means. So her favorite animal is actually the giraffe. But for my son, until he decides what his favorite animal is, I've kind of assigned him the lion. So I get him lion stuffed animals and things like that. And therefore, I wanted to do a lion diamond painting for him to hang up in his room. And speaking of that, I actually finally, right before the family birthday party that we had, I finally got Dragon Brigade hung up in his room, and I love it, and he loves it, and it is awesome. It's been so much fun. I'll pick him up and start getting him ready for the day, and he'll see it, and look at it and babble about it and talk, and there's little cookies on there, so he pretends to eat the cookies. His sister actually started doing that with him, and so now he, pretends to eat the cookies and things like that, and it's just super cute. But the first morning that he saw it after he fell asleep, I'd put it up, so he'd seen it, and then he fell asleep and he forgot about it. And then when I picked him up, and he saw it again, it was like he was seeing it for the first time, and I swear his jaw literally dropped. Like he was in shock when he saw it that morning. Just jaw dropped. Oh my gosh, staring at the diamond painting for quite a while, and it was so cute. So yeah, so I'm really glad that I got that up. I'll try and insert a picture of that here for you to see as well. And what I ended up doing for the edges is I just put on some grafting tape, just black grafting tape. I got a thing that had multiple colors so that I could try and decide what color would look best. But ultimately just decided on sticking with plain old black, and that seemed to be the right choice. I think that it looks really good. I'm really happy with how it turned out. And simply putting grafting tape around the edges of something, especially something that big, it went really quick and fast, and frames it really pretty well for just surrounding the white edges with some black tape. So that was really nice. I did end up sealing it because there were a few diamonds that were popping off of it. And then I also tried to display astronomer on my wall, and so I tried to quickly seal that one as well. And I have not always sealed my diamond paintings, but I'm definitely going to start sealing the round ones to try and keep gunk out of the spaces between the round drills. And then if I have a diamond painting where the glue's not great, or drills are already popping off in multiple places, then I'm going to want to seal those so that the diamonds don't continue to pop off. But I don't think that I'll seal every diamond painting that I do, but if it's one that I want to display or get out on a semi-occasional basis, then I will probably seal it. And so far I've just been using Artdot sealant. That's one that they gave me to try out, and so I did, and I'll put a link to me trying that product out here as well. But I really liked it. It did a good job. It seemed to seal things well, and it did not dull the shine of any of the diamonds at all. So far, until I have a opportunity to do some type of sealant comparison, I think I'll just continue to use the Artdot sealant, just because I know it and I'm comfortable with it, and it has worked well for me thus far. And I do need to go back and put sealant on some of the birds that I have on my wall. And I actually have like 6 completed Richard Lorenz birds now that I need to get put onto my poster foam board. And that was one of the things that I was hoping to do this summer as well. But again, with all the medical appointments and the surgery and the birthday parties and stuff, I just have not had time to do that. Plus, I want to film it because I want to show you guys different things that people have suggested that I want to try out, a few different products and ways that you can kind of change up the process. And so I want to share that with you. And so if I want to film it, then that's a whole other thing, because then I can't work on it when the kids are around. For example, I need to make sure that the house is quiet and I have plenty of time and space to do the filming. So, but I do hope to get that done soon, because let's see, I know I have a small one to do. Dewey Mouse is one. I have Lost With You, a super long skinny one to do. And so that's going to be an awkward one to try and cut the foam board to be the right size. Similar to that, an odd sized one is Lovebird Lodge. And I'm putting pictures up each time that I say one of these. And then I also have Priscilla. And I really want that one up to put right next to Purnell, since they're supposed to be dating. And then I did Fabiola, which she's going to need some mica powder work in the background as well with those light colors. And Nigel. I completed Nigel recently. So yeah, so that's my 6th one that I have done. So I only have 3 birds that are actually on the wall right now, and then I have 6 more that I want to add, and I don't know how they're all going to fit on the wall. We might have to start putting them all over the house, or I don't know. I figured I would just try and squeeze as many as I could into my stairwell as possible, and then we could maybe kind of bleed over into the upstairs hallway or foyer area, which isn't very big, but you know, try and get some in that area. And we could also come down into the basement and put them on some of the walls down here too, so the birds just kind of continue to spill out of the stairwell when there gets to be too much. I might have to get some better lighting for the stairwell too, just so we can put them kind of on both sides of the stairs and make sure that it's well lit and you can still see all of the diamond paintings in there too. So there's a few things like that that are huge on my to-do list. And then I know I talked about this in my last quarter review as well. The other diamond paintings that I did in a large kitting up, kitting down session. And I am doing a lot of them that happen to have DP with sparkler kits, because I really like the enhancements. I really do. It just adds an extra layer of fun to them. And especially on my Richard Lorenz pieces, if there's an enhancement pack, I want to use it so that they all look pretty similar. But you'll find that there's some other ones that I'm completing, like Blueberry Fairy I did, that it had an enhancement pack also, and it turned out really cool with all of its extra enhancements. Same thing with Summer Solstice. I just completed that one before starting this one, and the enhancements that they suggested on that one were really cool as well. So, but then I still have Starry Night to do, and that one they did come out with an enhancement idea for, so I got all of those drills. And then I have, who did Starry Night? Of course, everything besides The Pride by Francesca'sStudioWorks that I have kitted up is, of course, a Diamond Art Club one. I'm trying to branch out and do some other ones, and I bought one from Jada Gem Shop finally, and I have some Dreamer Design ones to do, but I need to get through some of these Diamond Art Club ones so that I can move on to trying some other companies. But gotta save my money, so I'm trying not to spend too much right now. So anyway, one of the ones that I have that has an enhancement pack is called Starry Night. I'm not seeing on my card the artist there, but that is going to be a really pretty one to do, I believe. Especially with the enhancement pack, I think it's going to be super shiny, and my daughter was really excited about that one, so that'll be fun. But it's a round diamond painting. And then I have Dreamscape by Color Out of Place. I really wanted to do one of his diamond paintings, and that's a square diamond painting that I also have an enhancement pack for. And then I have two smaller ones. I have Balancing Act, which is another Richard Lorenz, but it's just a little 13 by 13, but it also has an enhancement pack. And then I have a Mandy Manzano called One Little Bite. It's actually going to be, I think, the first Mandy Manzano that I will have done that has square drills instead of round drills. So that will be interesting because, you know, I definitely prefer square drills, but all the Mandy Manzanos have always been round. So, so One Little Bite and Dreamscape are square drills, and then Starry Night and Balancing Act will be round drills. So, so I tried to give myself an assortment of sizes and also shapes when I did my big kitting up session this last time, and then hopefully about the time that I will get done with most of these, then that will be when we enter into the fall season, and then, you know, I'll need to remember, because I didn't remember to do this last year when I did a large kit up session, to include my plans for fall and Halloween diamond paintings to complete, as well as you know, things for Thanksgiving or Christmas and things like that. So, and I do have a couple in mind that I do want to complete for Halloween this next year. I don't know if I have anything. I guess I have a couple that maybe I would have on my list to complete for Christmas, but I don't know for sure. They always seem to come out with something that I like and want, but we'll see. Right now, it's got to be a Richard Lorenz piece or something that I really, really love and want for me to get it. But yeah, so those are my plans right now, and I don't know. I think that I pretty much covered everything. I'm sure that I have jabbered on a good amount of time. I forgot to set a timer to see exactly how long I have been talking for, but it has been good to finally catch up with you. And again, I apologize for taking so long to update you on life and just kind of check in and do a whip and chat with you. And so I'm sorry about that. I am going to try and not let these get away from me like I did in the previous year. But, you know, once work starts and just kind of depending on how all of that goes, you know, I've of course got to always put my kids and my family and my work first. But I love diamond painting and I love to share my diamond painting with you. That's the whole reason why I made the channel. So I want to keep that going. And yeah, thank you so much for being patient with me. If I did not cover something that you happen to have a question about, please do not hesitate to send me an email. I've recently received some emails from somebody that's newer into diamond painting and had some questions, and so it's been fun to correspond with her and let her know what my thoughts are on things and any suggestions that I have. And so I always love hearing from you, and whether it just be a comment in the comment section or in an email as well. Those are always fun. So even if I haven't posted in a while, feel free to send me an email, because I always can see when I get an email. Sometimes it just takes a while for me to actually be able to respond, because if you have emailed me, you will notice that my responses are not super short and to the point. It takes me a while to explain what I'm trying to explain. I was told at a training one time that people like me who write so much in their emails that they're painters, because we're trying to paint a picture with our words. And I can't remember what they called the people who are really short and simple and to the point with their emails, but they had a word for them too. So it wasn't, I mean, both of them were kind words, but my way of writing an email, which is very descriptive, it was called being a painter, and I've always felt like that is very accurate. So, but yeah, okay, so let's go ahead and end the video here. And like I said, I really hope to talk to you again in the very near future and just ramble on about random diamond painting things and any other life events. So yeah, okay. Well, I hope that you have enjoyed watching this video and catching up on my life over the last several months. And again, thank you so much for being patient with me. If you have not already, if you could click that like button, I really would appreciate it very, very much. It does make my heart happy when I see that you are liking the video, and it also helps the channel, of course, but more than anything, it just makes my heart happy. And if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, I hope that you would consider subscribing. It's free, of course. You just hit the subscribe button, and then you can be informed of when I happen to upload a video. It might show up in your announcements or things like that, but I would still suggest clicking that notification bell as well, because then you will most definitely be notified anytime that I do make an upload. And since my uploads can be random, especially when school is in session, that would be a good idea in my opinion, if you would like to be notified when I make an upload. And then, of course, like I said, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. I really do look forward to hearing from you and reading your comments, even if it's just a simple, thumbs up or a heart or a picture of a lion or whatever it is that indicates, hey, I liked your video, I watched it till the end, just saying hi. You know, you don't have to say any words, just put in an emoji. That means a lot to me as well. So, yeah, I think that is going to be everything. So I am going to put in this last diamond in this spot and call that a day. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you all have a wonderful, marvelous, fabulous day, weekend, year, everything. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye-bye.